So I think we have arrived. Thank you all for saying yes to being here. Thank you for joining me. My name's Nichol Chase, if I haven't met you, and this is a 3-part series called Cultivating Wisdom. And the aim of this series is a monthly installment. This is the second of 3, is to make practice and what we discuss, what I present, to be very, very practical. It's about building practical skills to keep on showing up for your life, to develop skillful means, to be able to approach the very predictable and maybe some unpredictable challenges that we face in this life. Our practice can be that. And lately, I felt like I've really been relying on my practices to be able to continue to be present with what is. Anybody relate to that lately? There's been some stuff going on in the world. So I feel like it's more important than ever to have practical go-to tools to develop a regular practice for ourselves, and also have in the moment little practice hacks to be able to bring ourselves back into presence when we feel like we're a little bit more overwhelmed or challenged in any way. So that's the aim tonight. We'll be weaving in some lessons from Tibetan Buddhism, some practices and lessons from yoga, which is a big part of my background as well. And then we'll look a little bit about the science of stress resilience and how this actually works, how knowing these things and engaging in these practices really help us to be more embodied and present and able to meet adversity when we face it. So does that sound like maybe a fun project to work on for a little while? I think it's pretty cool. So thank you for being here. I'm excited to dive in. Last month, we really took on the subject of embracing uncertainty and the kind of natural kind of vicissitudes of life, how life tends to be unpredictable and how we don't tend to like it when life is unpredictable, right? We tend to have a lot of resistance around that. But it is something that is it's of the nature of life. We know that we can depend on change, we can depend on uncertainty. And the more that we open up to embracing that and creating space for that, the more we can show up for our lives. So we kind of actively approached this uncertainty with a kind of unconventional breathing exercise, for example, to be able to embody that and then find regularity. So that we can feel chaos, but bring it back into more of a kind of space where it's more manageable. Tonight, we'll be focusing on a slightly different topic, but related. It's all related. About feeling fully present with emotion, with sensations, with the things that you can notice in your body. And what this kind of fancy name for that is developing more proprioceptive awareness and interoceptive awareness. So can we notice our body as it shows up in space? And can we notice the sensations, the emotions, and the things that maybe even like digestion that's happening, the beating of your heart, the movement of your breath that's happening inside your body? The more that we can be with and perceive all of that, the more we can be present. And this is so key and such an integral part of what the practice helps us to do. It helps us to become aware of all of these facets of ourselves. So we'll start with a breathing practice again this evening. And this breathing practice comes from the yoga tradition. It's called Dirga Pranayama. Prana is life force, prana, energy. Yama is the kind of like the control of the breath. It speaks to the control of the breath. This one is a very light one. And the translation of dirga, it just means to lengthen, right? To lengthen the breath. It's often translated colloquially as 3-part breathing because you think about all of the places within your body that you can fill with breath. When you're really relaxed, where do you tend to feel the breath most fully? So here's you pointing here, like your belly, right? So you've probably heard of belly breathing, yes? Yeah. So that tends to be, especially if you're relaxed, an easier place to feel the breath. We also can breathe fully into the circumference of the rib cage, so we can fill that space as well. And we actually want to, with a deep, deep, full breath, to fill the space up here. This doesn't mean with tension, but did you even know? I wonder how many of you know this. Our first rib is above the collarbones. So find your collarbones here, right? Just above that, that's where the first rib starts, right? So to breathe fully into your lungs, filling them up fully, it actually goes all the way up. So let's start by relaxing the shoulders. Start to roll your shoulders a little bit from front to back. You can get yourself in a comfortable position. Just gonna give them a little bit of help to relax. And then roll your shoulders in the other direction. That's it. Nicely done. And then allowing your shoulders to come back into space. Inhale, shrug your shoulders up, so create tension. And on your exhale, open up your mouth and release it. 2 more times. Inhale, shrug up. And exhale, release it. And 1 more time. Inhale, shrug up. And exhale, release it. So as we breathe, we want to keep this relaxed. An easy length through the neck, an easy length through the spine. It looks like you're all sitting with length through your spine. You can also do this standing if you want to. I wouldn't recommend doing it lying down, although it can be done lying down as well, but either seated or standing. And we'll start with breathing into the lower part just by itself, and then eventually we'll build up all 3 and then add them together. So start by placing a hand on your low belly. And you can place a hand, or you can just bring your awareness there if that feels better. With your gaze soft, but with a light gaze. Not going to close the eyes yet. You can just start to breathe deeply into your hand or into the awareness of your low belly. And think of really filling that space with your inhale and exhale. Drawing awareness there. A couple more rounds of breath. Deep belly breathing. Finding more openness in space. You can, if you have your hand placed there, you can move it back down to your thigh. You can draw your awareness away from that place and just notice what the breath is doing without having the focal point being anywhere specific. Maybe you notice a slight shift, maybe you don't. Either way is perfectly fine. Now, the second of the 3 parts of this breathing technique is around the rib cage. So I invite you to place your hands around your rib cage, or just draw your awareness to the circumference of your rib cage. And same thing, we would take a few breaths just thinking about breathing, expanding this area with your breath at your own pace. And fill into the awareness or fill into your hands if you're physically touching. A few rounds of breath. That's it. Maybe 1 or 2 more breaths. Yeah, you've got it. And at the end of your next breath, you can lower your hands if you are lightly touching, or draw your awareness away from that area, and just a couple easy breaths. noticing what happened, noticing where your awareness is now. One more part of this three-part breathing, and it's the upper part. So I invite you to either touch some place on your upper chest beneath the collarbones, or you can simply draw your awareness there. This is the trickiest one because we don't want the shoulders to get tension and to shrug up when you're inhaling. They want to stay relaxed and think of breathing and expanding through the chest all the way up without tensing the muscles around your neck and shoulders. So playing around with a few breaths here, breathing all the way up into the upper rib cage. Like you're filling balloon in that area, but like it's expanding from the inside rather than having to expand from external tension. Maybe one more breath like this. And then again, if you are lightly touching with your hands, you can relax your arms and come back to an easy breath, just a natural breath. What happened? How does the breath feel now? How is the breath breathing you? Dirgha pranayama, it's called three-part breath. However, it doesn't mean that there's a gap in between those three parts. It just means that we fill from the bottom to the top with the inhale. And we think of filling the belly and then continuously breathing and then filling around the rib cage, continuing the breathing and filling into the upper part of the rib cage, around the collarbones, all the way up to the collarbones. And then same thing with the exhale, you think of slowly releasing the air from the upper part, the middle part, the lower part, very continuously, but really drawing it out by recognizing and coming into awareness of all those parts of the breath. Does this make sense? Yes? Okay, great. Huh? Try not to do the shrugging. If it happens, it happens. But just trying to keep this all relaxed. So maybe let's do one of those together. Shrug your shoulders up. Inhale, open up your mouth, and exhale. So your shoulder blades slide down your back. Easy length through your spine. For this one, you can soften your gaze again, maybe drawing your gaze down a few inches in front of you, or you can close your eyes completely if you feel comfortable with that. Again, coming to your natural breath. I'll provide a little bit of guidance with pacing this time as we come into the full form of Dirgha pranayama. And to start out, exhale fully. We'll be inhaling through the nose. Inhale and fill through the belly. And continuing to fill through the rib cage, bottom rib cage. And then all the way, the upper chest, upper rib cage. Pause for a moment at the top on full. And then exhaling continuously, upper chest, rib cage. Bottom of your rib cage. And your belly. All the way to empty, pausing there for a moment. And inhaling, filling your belly. Bottom of your rib cage, upper part of your rib cage. Pause. And exhaling, upper rib cage, lower rib cage, and low belly. Pause. Inhaling, low belly. Bottom rib cage, upper rib cage, and pause at the top. Exhaling, upper rib cage, lower rib cage, and belly. And pause. Inhale, low belly, bottom rib cage, upper rib cage. Pause. Exhale, upper rib cage, lower rib cage, and belly. Let's do a couple more like that. Bottom third, middle third, and upper third of the breath. Exhale, upper third, middle third, bottom third. One more, all the way to the top, continuous. Filling all three sections in sequence. And then exhaling from top to bottom, nice and slow. Continuous. Feeling all those areas of the breath. Bottom of your exhale. Come back to your natural spontaneous breathing pattern. Noticing the shift. Awareness still on the breath, but allowed to be spontaneous, to take its own rhythm. Notice if anything shifted, physically or mentally, emotionally. And if your eyes have been closed for this practice, I invite you to gently begin to open them, coming back into the space. Always make it a practice and find it really useful as you're coming back from practice, especially if your eyes have been closed, to come back and allow yourself to shift position or stretch. And also having the opportunity to look around and reorient to the space too. We can kind of otherwise get a little bit disoriented by coming out of practice and back into the physical space. Yeah. So welcome back. Just a short little breathing practice. Part of the reason why I'm bringing breathing into this series is because it's one of the fastest ways to bring ourselves back into calm and balance and presence. This is something that has been scientifically studied, and there are more studies popping up every day. It works with the autonomic nervous system, which is a fancy name for the automatic nervous system. It tends to give us vagal tone or tap us into parasympathetic nervous system state, which just means it tends to make us more calm when we breathe deeply. And this is something that quite reliably happens with most people with breathing exercises like this. So it's a really good tool. It's a really good tool. I would love to start before we move into a little bit of a Dharma talk or a little lesson for today, which is drawn from Pema Chodron's book, Living Beautifully with Uncertainty and Change. This is a book, and Pema Chodron's words lately have been really speaking to me, really speaking to me. I feel like she so poetically and beautifully describes being in the midst of chaotic times, which these times, at least to me, feel a bit chaotic. Like there's a lot going on. So how do we show up in the midst of all of that? How do we still move forward? I would love to kind of start us off by kind of grounding practice we have started this evening. I'd love to ask you, what are you coming in with today? I'm going to keep it really, really broad. This can be something like, wow, I'm coming in with experiencing beauty earlier today. Like I saw the redwoods, or I was just enjoying the sunshine, or, it's just feeling a little bit heavy today. It's feeling a little bit heavy, and it could be, and most likely is both, more than one thing. So anybody that would love to share and start us off, I'd love to ask what you're coming in with today, and also, perhaps, what are you being supported by today? What are you coming in with, and what are you being supported by? It's available to anybody online too. You can raise your digital hand and we'll call on you. Yeah, please. Is the mic on? It is? Oh, okay, we just can't hear it here. Okay, gotcha.
Coming in with definitely some uncertainty in the future. There's some agitating things, so that's been weighing on me a bit.
Yeah.
But also, feeling supported by family, loved ones, partner, just having kind of touch points with them, all of them today.
That's so great. That's so great. A supportive community of loved ones. It's a really, really good support system. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
I just want to note that I could not hear even with the mic. So
Oh.
maybe it isn't on, or maybe the dial's down.
Maybe.
Thank you, whoever's checking that. We checked
Thank you
your
so
mic,
much.
but not the room mic.
The green light is on.
Okay.
That's a good sign.
Yes.
Testing 1, 2, 3, testing.
Can you hear that?
I think I'm hearing you in the room, not through the mic.
I see.
Okay, testing 1, 2, 3.
It is not like your mic at all. Is Brendan still there? Did we lose Brendan? Is that, anyway, maybe while we're working on it, if you would just repeat things that folks are saying in the room a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Or just the highlights
Yeah,
even.
So sitting with uncertainty was a big theme of what came up in the last share, and then also finding touch points with a lot of loved ones as support, and seeing a lot of them today and feeling kind of resourced and supported by that.
So can you hear me okay if I sit close to the mic?
I can hear you okay.
Okay, actually, look, we can share.
Yeah, thank you.
And so I was gonna agree with Nicole that my practice has just saved my sorry little butt. And this place has really been what has supported me particularly the last couple of years. And what I'm coming with today is I'm very curious about sunspots. That it is beautiful out, but it is howling windy. And I understand that the sunspots can affect the winds. And all I know is I'm losing my shit. And by that, I'm having emotional challenges. But the last few days, like so many things have just gone missing. Like a bracelet that I've been wearing for years, gone. A favorite fleece jacket fell off the back of my bicycle. Is it sunspots? I don't know. So I'm coming with curiosity about sunspots because I'd like an explanation for why I've suddenly just become terribly forgetful in addition to having just generally losing my shit.
You think this is working now? Can you hear it now, Tia? Okay. Okay, I think Brendan fixed
Yes,
it.
and thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Awesome.
Brendan.
Awesome. Yay, we figured it out. And thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's so interesting. I love that you mentioned that and you're approaching it with curiosity and kind of a playfulness of like, I don't know, like, is life just telling me that I'm losing my shit, and so I'm like literally losing my shit in life. I'm losing physical objects. It's really, really interesting. Yeah, I'm curious about that too. I feel like life does bring those lessons, right? And the more that we can approach the things that happen in our lives, good, bad, in between, with curiosity and the desire to learn from everything that comes our way. That's kind of the good stuff, and I can tell that you're embodying that. So that's really good. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Anyone else? Do you want to share?
I think for the last while, I've been coming kind of burdened by all of both the political chaos and the climate chaos and the sense of urgency but impotence and a feeling like you've got to do something. Why aren't people that there's a sense about like sort of just anxiety about what it seems like the current situation is calling for.
Yeah.
And then also a kind of a sense of sort of like a sense of kind of failure or despair or doubt about a feeling about like, what can I do? What can I do to contribute to making things the way that they should be? And, because I don't have anybody on speed dial that I can call and say, stop doing that.
Yeah.
There's nobody who's doing it.
Yeah.
They're not answering my calls. So, so it feels like that, and then over the last, I think, couple of days, there's been an added thing there where it feels like, and it's kind of an odd support, but it feels like I've been sort of supported by the concept of impermanence. That just a sense that these things are, the things that I really value, such as, equal rights and justice and beauty and fragility and all of that, that they're impermanent, but then also these very oppressive forces that are so kind of vile and delusional and evil or whatever are also impermanent.
Sure.
And so am I. So it sort of feels like that there's a way in which I'm sort of feeling comforted by a sense of just the impermanence of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, what's so beautiful about what you just said is that you're turning something that is typically seen as scary or as a threat, this impermanence, and finding hope. Finding hope in the fact that things are impermanent. And because things are inherently impermanent, there will be change, right? And I've had many of those same feelings, those feelings of despair, despondency, feeling like, even if I do something, is it enough, right? Yeah. And feeling the urgency of it too. Some of what just came to mind it's one of my favorite quotes by Yoruban poet and philosopher Bayo Akomolafe. And yes, got to do a shout out to Bayo. He says, "The times are urgent. Let us slow down. The times are urgent. Let us slow down." I feel like life, this world, kind of impels us to accelerate and to continue to produce and to feel anxious. Like it's driven by this feeling of anxiety, like urgency, like I need to do something now and I need to do something big. And if we simply take the time, by the way, my friends, this is what we're doing here. We're slowing down. We're pausing. We're coming together. Then we allow the possibility for the emerging future to come, right? It's less forceful. It's less urgent. And that's where the true changes, and our ability to be a part of that wave of change can come more naturally, right? Change wants to happen. This world is in flow. And so really, our job is to do what we can from where we are and trust that we're part of the wave and that we make these ripple effects. Like a lot of the theory of change kind of talks about how we all do little actions that then eventually accumulate, and eventually there's like a tipping point, right? So we can, like, with the capacity that we have, we can do what we can and know that like, it does make a difference. Even if it makes a difference in one person's life, that's worthwhile. That's really worthwhile. And so that gives me just a little bit of hope. Mention one more thing that's coming to mind. The system scientist Otto Scharmer, he just wrote another book called Presencing and talks about how part of systems change occurs because we all do what we can and form little communities, like this one, here at the Dharma Collective, to form islands of coherence. That we together form islands of coherence. And then eventually, these islands of coherence can start to become visible to the other islands of coherence. All right? It becomes a network of change. And so those are the kinds of things that give me, those are the kinds of things that give me hope right now. You all give me hope, what you can do each moment. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else want to share? Yeah. I think we are good. That seems complete. Let's move into just a little bit of content to play around with. So I'm drawing from one of the chapters in Pema Chodron's book, again, Living Beautifully with Uncertainty and Change. And what she says is this, she uses this phrase a lot, is like on-the-spot practice. When you feel pinned down, when life feels like too much, that's the opportunity to really do the practice. That's the opportunity. That's the ripe opportunity to do the practice. And she says about this on-the-spot type of practice, and I'll kind of read this quote from the book, is that on-the-spot practice of being fully present, feeling your heart, and greeting the next moment with an open mind can be done at any time. When you wake up in the morning, before a difficult conversation, whenever fear or discomfort arises. So part of why we come together in this type of setting with community, part of why we would do a daily practice is so that we can remember in the moments that are the hardest, like, that. I can breathe a little bit and I'm not gonna chew this person's head off. Like, we can have maybe like a difficult conversation, but like I'm not gonna spin out, I'm not gonna fly into rage, I'm not gonna break something. I have that resource. And this on-the-spot practice is a way to kind of claim courage, kindness, and strength. Like embody this kind of empowered courage, kindness, and strength. And she goes on to say, this is a way of extending warmth and acceptance to whatever is going on for you right now. You might have an aching back, an upset stomach, panic, rage, impatience, calmness, joy. Whatever it is, you can let it be there just as it is, without labeling it good or bad, without telling yourself you should or shouldn't be feeling that way. Having connected with what is, with love and acceptance, you can go forward with curiosity. I'm thinking of what you mentioned earlier, curiosity and courage. Like, oh, isn't that interesting? What could that possibly mean? I call this third step taking the leap. So that kind of approach to anything that might be a little bit challenging is with approaching it with curiosity, like, oh, what's that saying to me? What can I learn from that? So that's like taking that leap of faith, like, huh, that's really interesting. I'm curious. In order to do this practice, most of us need a bit of support. Meditation can be one of those things. Any type of contemplative practice, I would expand to say, can be that type of support. Can provide the support that we need and help us to be more present, nurture our hearts, and practice letting go. So we can practice meditation to nurture the natural ability of the mind to be present, to feel loving kindness, to open beyond fixed opinions and views. Yeah. Now, because the topic of this series is about really kind of practical tools to bring into our daily life, we do like really practical practices like the breathing exercise that we did at the beginning. And I want to frame all of this in a very practical way. Part of what we're doing with these practices, I've already mentioned it, is that we're training ourselves to be able to better manage stressors in our lives. Has anybody like ever felt stress? Maybe did you like even feel stress a little bit today? Like on a daily basis, I feel like there's at least like a little bit of like, ooh, ouch, like that feels stressful, that feels uncomfortable. Part of the reason why we even get stressed in the first place is because we have such sophisticated brains. Because we can think about things in the future, because we can think about things that happened in the past, we tend to time travel and not stay as much in the present. And so if something has happened in the past that was stressful, then we can tend to think about it, and then it grows and it creates this discomfort within our body and our minds. It can show up in the form of emotions. So it's really like because of our beautiful, sophisticated brains that we have this kind of extra responsibility or burden, and could be seen as a responsibility to be able to figure out how to work with that. I love this quote from the book, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. Yeah, which goes, when a lion stops chasing a zebra, the zebra relaxes. What a concept. The zebra doesn't think, what if the lion returns? What if I didn't outrun the lion? In contrast, people often continue mental dialogue such as, what if things were worse? And continue worrying. Do you think, what if the lion comes back? What if it was worse? And what if that happens? So we're training ourselves to be more like the zebra. Be like, that's interesting. I'm curious. Rather than like, that's a threat. What if it comes back? What if it's worse next time? Right? Because ultimately, well, we know this world is full of uncertainty. We don't know. We can predict a certain amount, but there's unpredictability. So may we slow down. May we get curious. May we get curious. So I want to move us into a little bit of a longer seated practice. How many of you have ever done, it's called the rain practice. It was popularized by Tara Brach. Yeah? Oh, so not very many of you. Yeah, okay. Well, in our last gathering for this series, we did kind of a lighter version of this called Soften, Soothe, and Allow. This one is a little bit more involved. This originally was developed by the mindfulness teacher, Michelle McDonald. And the acronym has slightly changed over time. I kind of like the adaptations that Tara Brach made to this practice. used to mean recognize, allow, investigate, and non-identification, right? The version that Tara Brach has popularized is recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture, right? So it kind of speaks to this idea of not identifying with the sensation or emotion or whatever you find. However, it also kind of is this non-identification in more of kind of like a loving way, kindness to self way, this nurturing way. So as we move into this practice, there's a little disclaimer here. I'm going to start with a little visualization. You'll think about a moment today or within this last week where you felt a little irritation or annoyance or just a little bit of discomfort in any way. Not something that's like a big discomfort and something that's ongoing. Just we're going to find a little content so we can start to notice what's going on inside, so we can develop a lot of those interoceptive abilities that meditation can bring. And then we'll move through all of the different steps of rain. If at any point in time, we're going to start with finding a resource. And if at any point in time you kind of want to take a break from what I'm guiding you through, just know that you can go back to the resource that we set up. Does that all sound fair and okay? Yeah? Yes? Okay, great. So I invite you to get into a comfortable position. If you prefer to do meditation lying down, in fact, you could lie all the way down. Even if you're here in the room, you could lie down. Just finding some comfort and finding what you need to be in comfort. Maybe thinking of the 3-part breathing that we were doing earlier, deepening your breath. And you can either soften your gaze or close your eyes completely. Deepening your breath. Here in this moment, arriving with your breath, with your body. We'll be in this practice for about 20 minutes or so. Arriving. And as you arrive in your body in this moment, I invite you to first think of a person or an animal or a place, maybe a place in nature or some place of beauty. That feels really pleasant to connect with. It helps to make you feel at ease. A person, an animal, maybe a pet. A particular place or object. Taking a moment to get a clear sense of how this resource makes you feel. Opening up to all of your senses. What does it look like, smell like, taste like? What do you hear? What do you feel in the presence of this resource? Allowing yourself to feel any sensations that are arising in your your body. Any emotions? Knowing that you can come back to this place, to this connection at any point in time as we move through the rest of this meditation practice. It's always there. A nice, calming timeout zone. When you're ready, I invite you to gently shift your attention to think about something today or within the last week that maybe gave you a little tiny irritation. Made you feel annoyed, maybe a little bit sad, a little bit let down. Just one small thing that happened. Something like you had to wait in a long line somewhere, or you got cut off in traffic. What is that one little thing? Noticing any subtle shifts in the pattern of your breath, the beating of your heart. Do you notice any differences in sensation? You experiencing emotions, feeling anxious or sad? Recognizing and identifying how it shows up. There's a particular emotion that you're noticing. Perhaps noticing if you can feel the edges of this emotion and where it lives in your body. Does it feel hot or cold? Is it active or still? Does it feel tight? Or does it feel like it doesn't have energy? Seeing if you can create a little bit more space around any thoughts, emotions, sensations that are present. Sometimes I get the image in my mind of finding the shape of what's arising and creating a little moat. It's kind of fluid water around the space and feeling it expand until you've created this lake around the island. Just creating more space. Gentle, fluid water surrounding, supporting whatever is there. By creating this space, we're moving from recognizing what is arising to the A of rain, which is allowing, creating space for it to be there. And when you allow more space, what changes, if anything? And as you allow more space, now moving into the eye of rain, this is our opportunity to get more curious. Maybe it's curious about, again, finding more specificity with the sensations, maybe with the thoughts or stories associated with what you're noticing. Maybe even thinking about how this shows up in other parts of your life. Has this been here before? Can we investigate a little bit? Get curious. Aiming to learn. Which may make some of it a little bit more manageable, but by investigating it might intensify it. So if it feels like too much, right? You can always go back to your resource, or even go back to your breath. Lastly, the N of rain is for nurture. Nurture speaks to providing some support for ourselves, for turning toward the things that are difficult. So it can take many forms. Give a couple invitations. Maybe you send yourself a phrase like, "Wow, I'm so proud of you. You're doing good." Maybe it's even something like, "I love you. I'm here. I'm here." Nurturing could also look like placing your hand on a particular part of your body, on top of your heart. It could be a gentle, supportive touch. So to the degree that you can, for a few more moments, connecting with what this instance that came to mind, what it brings up in your body, recognizing, allowing, getting curious and investigating, and nurturing, providing support to stay with. being with this in silence for just a little while longer. We'll move toward the end of practice the same way that we began. Connecting with some sort of support, some sort of resource. You might revisit what you found at the very beginning. A person, an animal, a place, maybe a type of food even. A favorite article of clothing, something cozy, something colorful, something that feels supportive. Connecting with that and noticing what happens inside. What happens with your breath. What do you get curious about? Taking your time with this, I invite you to slowly begin to think of moving out of practice. If your eyes have been closed, you can allow them to very slowly open. Letting the light filter back in, and again, the invitation is to shift position or stretch as is needed, and also if it's helpful to look around a little bit, you can. Yeah. Welcome back, everyone. So, my open-ended question for you is, so curious, especially for those of you who haven't done this practice before. What did you notice? What felt resourceful? What maybe felt a little bit challenging? So we approached it from feeling supports, but also allowing ourselves to feel just a little bit of maybe some disturbance or discomfort. And how did that work for you? What still felt challenging? If anybody would like to share. And it's okay if nobody wants to share too.
Loud.
Yeah.
Maybe I got distracted by thoughts at some points too.
Yeah, of course.
Allowing and investigating, when you were saying to investigate the emotions that were coming up,
Yeah.
you're kind of asking yourself questions or just seeing.
You can, yeah, there can be kind of like a narration or a dialogue happening inside, or it can just be more like they just naturally arise and you're sitting with it.
Just watching. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But any way of engaging with it is the point. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. How did it go?
Went well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed the string of multiple times that I've had those annoyances come up. Right?
Sure.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then like focusing on where the emotion was and then slowly allowing going from like one specific location to further out, it helped release that tension.
Nice. That's wonderful. Yeah. Good investigating, I'll say. Like you got really curious about, yeah, that's showing up here and here and here and here. Like I've noticed that that's maybe a pattern, right? Yeah, it's helpful. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else? It's open for anyone online to share too, if you'd like to. You could also be like, I really liked that practice, or I didn't like that at all. Yeah. You liked it? Okay, great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It feels really, helpful to have these types of tools that help to guide you through like, oh, okay, like I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna be with, I can recognize it's there. And instead of allowing it to run the day, right? And inform how I make my next step, I can just create some space, allow, investigate, like, what is that really about, right? Because oftentimes, we don't know. If we just let that train keep on rolling, sometimes like we're already like yelling at the person and in an argument. But if we just let's take a few breaths, allow ourselves like, oh, okay, like actually, I think that I'm angry right now. Yeah, this is kind of annoying, but like I haven't eaten anything today. Right? This might be amplified right now because all these other things happen. That's what the investigation is about. Like, oh, okay, I can make a different choice. I can make a different choice here. And then we can nurture and kind of reinforce that by the nurturing, like, wow, I spent the time, I made the courageous choice to sit with this instead of just allowing that to go. And because I gave myself that opportunity to be with it, I can actually make a different choice. I can actually make a different choice. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
You're so sweet. I think the interesting part of that practice for me was nurture. And what came to me when I was nurturing myself was recognizing that I've been turning towards what's showing up pretty consistently. Like,
Good for you.
oh, this is here, okay. Versus like turning away or like running away.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. That is definitely something to congratulate yourself for. Not easy. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing, Maria. Yeah.
That made me reflect on what happened for me. I've done the practice before, but it was not terribly pleasant this time, to be honest. So
Yeah.
similarly, I feel like I've been turning towards a lot of the moments, that habit energy that keeps repeating itself and seeing it, whether it's mild or intense. Usually it's some form of anxiety, fear, frustration.
Yeah.
And I can typically see clearly, be with, find a beat in that mild moment.
Yeah.
But then it's maybe I'm staring at it a little too long and a little too intensely. It opens up these portals to the deeper things underneath that you were talking about, which is terror, regret, fear of regret. It's like the really gnarly stuff underneath.
Sure, yeah.
And I noticed when you asked, where do you feel it? I've been struggling with this a lot lately. I really feel it behind my shoulder blades. So that like upper thoracic back,
Sure.
I feel, and I had the image of this talon, like a claw, like a bird of prey talon, clenched, like gripping that part and like pulling it, and just relentless. And I could feel that sensation intensifying.
Wow.
The more I like observed it, breathed into it, it actually got more intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was, but I, tried to stay with it and not slip into dissociation. So
Totally.
but
totally.
yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like you were very skillful with that, even with the intensity. And when it does become intense, I'm so glad this is coming up. Thank you for your courage in sharing that. When these kinds of intense things do come up, this is part of the reason why we set up a resource ahead of time. Like the invitation is stay with it, yeah, but don't like white knuckle it. It's like give yourself the opportunity. Part of being courageous in this practice is choosing not to stay with it when you need to. Yeah, when you need to kind of go back for support, doing that. In therapy, they call this kind of very like clinical sounding words, titration, is that we just do one little drop at a time. So when it feels too intense and it feels like you're moving especially towards something like dissociation, it's like, no, I need a break. Like I need a break. It's giving me an image of, anyone ever been like swimming in the ocean when like a really big set of waves comes in? Like, have you ever experienced the kind of like even a little bit of anxiety of like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to swim to be able to dive under the next wave? Yeah, like when it feels like the big waves are coming, maybe it's time to like ride one back into shore and take a beat, and instead of continuing to like be pummeled by the waves, it's like, no, I can choose to like come back to here. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. I will say that, just while you come and get the mic, turning toward it the way that you're doing, right? And by giving yourself the grace of being able to take breaks and staying with it, it will continue to open up and work through. You're doing the good work. Yeah, stay with it. It's very courageous. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. It really resonated with me. And I'll just reiterate that where I'm finding strength is in coming together with other people who do that kind of thinking, who are doing that kind of work, because we cannot do this alone.
No.
I mean, I listen to Dharma talks and practices on YouTube and online, but it's about coming together.
Yeah. So beautiful. I love it. Okay. Well, I want to do one more little mini practice, and then we'll also have some kind of music immersion. Hey there, friend. We'll have some music immersion for a while at the end. It's just going to be a short breathing practice. This is another three-part breathing that shows up in the yoga tradition. So those of you online, you can see that I'm looking down. We have a little doggy friend that's coming up close and very adorable. This three-part breathing is very similar to the one that we did at the beginning. The one at the beginning, there weren't any pauses between the kind of lower part, the middle part, the upper part. This next part of the breathing is called, this next type of breathing is a three-part breath, but it's called Viloma Pranayama. And there is a little pause at each one. And so it's just a little bit more challenging, but by pausing with each one of those, it can start to become more clear how we fill all of those regions in our torso with the breath. It translates as against the grain, right? Because we don't tend to take our breath in little spurts like that. So it's just drawing more awareness by a little bit of pause. So I invite you to come into a comfortable position, seated or standing. Easy length through your spine, relaxing the shoulder blades down your back. And just do a few rounds together of Viloma Pranayama. Either soften your gaze or close your eyes and start by observing your natural breath. Breath can be a resource itself, can bring us back into calm. Part of why we start with it, why we started with it this evening and why we're ending with it. Exhale, empty out fully. And through your nose, inhale just into your belly and pause. Inhale from your belly button to your sternum and pause. Inhale from your sternum to your collarbones and pause. And you'll exhale evenly all the way from top to bottom. No pauses. Exhale, exhale, exhale. And inhaling from your pelvic floor to your belly button. Inhaling from your belly button to your sternum. Inhaling from your sternum to your collarbones. Pause. And then exhaling continuously all the way out. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. And just do two more like this. Inhaling from pelvic floor to belly button. Inhale from belly button to sternum. Inhale from sternum to collarbones. Exhale evenly. And inhale from pelvic floor to belly button. Inhale from belly button to sternum. Inhale from sternum to collarbones. And exhale evenly. Releasing this structure of the breath, coming back to your natural breathing. Invite you to stay in the position that you're in, maybe even keeping your eyes closed. You can adjust if needed. And the invitation is simply to open up to hearing sounds of my voice and harmonium. Just a little bit of sound support to let all of what was shared, all of the practices land in you. An appreciation, a celebration of your courage for showing up here, for us being here together in community and doing good work. The beginning of this will be similar to the musical piece I shared last time, and then it'll change. shadow, step into the light, come with me, sit by the fire, enter the cave of the heart. Embrace the shadow, step into the light, come with me, sit by the fire, enter the cave of the heart. The lightest sound as it filters through reveals the truth of existence. When I slow down, I can hear my heart. It speaks to my soul. I feel the beauty of the universe. We live in a planet. No, we are not broken. Please open our eyes. Please open our eyes. We are love. We are light. We are whole. So if we are whole, why do we despair? Let us live in truth. Let us turn to each other. We live in a plenum, no aeon unbroken. Please open our eyes. Please open our eyes. We are love. We are light. We are whole. We are whole. When I need a friend, I will look within, and when I look within, I will see your face. Where do I begin? We are whole. We are whole. We are whole. We are We are whole. We are here to support one another. This crazy thing called life, the beauty, the challenge. May we be curious. May we slow down. May we offer each other support, especially when things get tough. Thanks so much for being here this evening with me. And I feel very supported by all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks, everyone. Yeah. There's another one next month. So if you're around, I'd love to see you again. And thanks to everyone online. Could definitely feel your presence. Thank you for being here.